a teacher. How much do you make? I have $3,000. How much do you have? 5 years.
I am a IT engineer.
How much do you make?
Make 75,000.
How many years of experience do you have?
3.
And what skills or experience do you need to break in?
Just a college degree, to be honest, and the network. So,
Any advice for young college students or people trying to break in?
get a cybersecurity degree for sure.
I'm an executive assistant.
How much do you make?
I make 101 a year.
And how many years of experience do you have?
Years of experience, I have about 10. I've been working at my job for about 3.5.
How do you break into this job?
I feel like I just got really lucky, my past experience, and I actually found it on Indeed. So
I'm an educator and an artist.
And I am an associate director of family and community engagement. I do social work.
And how much do you guys make? You go first.
Together over 150.
Same with my fiance.
I'm a project coordinator for a nonprofit.
How much do you make?
I make 53,000.
How many years of experience?
Only one.
Okay. And any tips or tricks to break into this?
I would say just get some experience in college if you go to college, and gain some practical experience too, internships, things like that.
I'm an attorney. And how much do you make?
134.
How many years of experience do you have?
8.
And any tips or tricks to break into this?
I should say 9. Any tips? Make good connections.
I work as a temp.
And how much do you make?
I make about 15 an hour.
How many years of experience do you have?
I've been graduated for about 4 years, so
Any advice for young college students?
definitely think through what you want to do. Because I think I followed my passion, which is great, but I'm like, I didn't think it all the way through. So
I am a program analyst for a federal contractor for the government.
How much do you make?
$105K.
And how many years of experience do you have?
2 masters and 10 years experience.
And what skills or experience do you need to break in?
Finance and IT.
I am a researcher for the Democratic Party.
I work on chemical risk assessments for the federal government.
I make $50,000.
I make, I think around $60,000.
I'm a flight attendant.
Yeah, me as well.
How much do you make?
Approximately, in dollars.
For a foundation.
And do you make?
I make about $90,000 a year.
Do you like what you do?
I love what I do.
Any tips or tricks on how to get into this?
There are a lot of ways to get into it. Basically, what you have to do is want to be invested in your community. I'm a social worker. It's just about how to work with people.
What's going on, everybody? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. And the reason why we wanted to start off with that video, because I wanted to show everybody an example of what people make in this particular part of the country. So that was Alexandria, Virginia. It's a higher income part of the country. So you would anticipate that people make a little bit more than average. They're right outside the DC area. So they're called like the DC metro area. And if you noticed in that particular video, you weren't getting a lot of, I make 200,000, I make $250,000, I make 300,000, I make $500,000 a year. And one of the things that we want to kind of ask ourselves, because what I want to try to help people do economically is first deal with their economic reality and then try to figure out, based on their economic reality, how can I improve my situation? One of the things that a lot of people have a challenge doing is that dealing with their economic reality and then figuring out how to improve their economic situation. So you have to know where you're at first. And if you believe or you buy into a lot of economic myths, right, it can be difficult for you to actually build off of it because you don't actually know your economic reality. And so the first thing we want to ask is that, do you believe in the 6-figure earner myth? And what I mean by the 6-figure earner myth is that, do you believe in this myth that everybody makes 6 figures? Everybody's just doing so well. I'm part of this group, whether it's going to be based on race or whether it's going to be based on sex, what I mean by biological sex. And we're just doing so much better than my racial contemporaries, which is a big part of this internet narrative. And if you believe that, even though it may not be true, then you don't ever really take account of your own situation and then try to figure out how to build up off your particular situation. And then also there's a regional aspect to it. And there's also a network aspect to it. And that's why I wanted to show the video, because many of those people said, well, how'd you get in your position? They said through my network, right? They didn't get into that position just because they got the education. They had to know the right people to put them in position to get over that $100,000 mark. And I also think there's a reason why I know a lot of people don't know people that make a lot of money working for somebody else. You know why I know they don't? Because they don't know how many hours you have to put in. If a job's going to pay you over $100,000 a year, they're going to work you, right? They're going to work you. And I think a lot of people don't understand that because they haven't been around those kind of people and they don't know just how hard they work. So then therefore they think, I want to be involved with somebody that makes a certain amount of money. And you don't know, you're involved with a person and their job is paying them $150 a year. Their job is going to work them. Why? Because we need to get 3x off what we're paying you. So you got to be bringing that much back in value to this business for us to continue to justify your salary. Then also that's going to be regional. You live in the Northeast, going down from DC up, You live in the southern part, the southern part of California. You live in Chicago area. You live in other parts of the country, maybe Houston, Dallas. The incomes can skew a little higher because the cost of living is higher. Where if you live in the middle of nowhere, you can survive on a lot less money. And you have to take that into account when you're trying to hold people to this six-figure criteria. So the biggest question we want to ask the audience is, do you believe in the six-figure earner myth? Do you believe that there's this multitude or this abundance of people all over the country, right, making six figures? And that's what we call it, the six-figure myth. And what's unusual is that this particular term, six figures, has become this line in the sand for financial success. You go on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of people, right, using six figures as his success line. So I know times have changed, because when I was like GC's age, the number was $1 million. So we believed if you can get it, we call it a meal ticket. If you can get to $1 million because of the federal funds rate, you could put that in the bank and live off the interest, because the cost of living was a lot lower when I was a kid. So the goal was to get to that meal ticket. We said, if I get $1 million cash at one time, I can sock that in the bank and live off of that. Now people talking about six figures as being a lot of money. Therefore, I know things have changed, because the number has gone all the way down from $1 million to $100,000 a year, which is way off of $1 million. But we buy into this attitude of that this six figures has become this line in the sand for financial success. But I want to show you how many people in America don't hit that number, right? Not saying you can't hit it. You can hit it. The money's there. But what I want you to do, like I said before, is that we often don't take into account our financial situations. Let me give an example. When I wasn't making a lot of money, you know what? I didn't like to look at my bills. You know why I didn't like to look at my bills? Because I didn't want to be reminded I didn't have the money to pay them. So I would get bills and sit them on the table and wouldn't look at them. Why? Because I want to be reminded how much money I don't have, right? We live in a system where a lot of people can float credit. So what a lot of people do is, because they know they don't have the cash, they just keep paying off a credit line. They keep paying off a credit line, keep paying off a credit line. So they're never really reminded how much money they don't have. I've been saying for years, if Americans had to live off their cash money, it would create rioting in the streets, because they would realize I don't have it. And many of us, that's what we won't do. We will not take into account our financial situation and say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is how much money I'm going to bring in, how much money I'm actually bringing in real life. This is how much money is coming out of my household. So then now I know where I got to work to improve my situation. We buy into this narrative, right, that we're making a certain amount of money that we don't. The narrative that you know, people are not going to like this, but I'm going to keep saying it because it needs to be said. This lie on the internet, especially on Black YouTube, that, you know, YouTube discriminates against Black content creators and segregates all of us, right, without our permission. And this lie on Black YouTube that there's this abundance of Black women that are doing so financially well off. There's no data to support that. And I'm going to show you the data. There's no data to support that. Based on the six figure being a line in the sand, there's no data to support that. This lie on YouTube that most Black men are in the middle class, even though we can't define middle class by income. If you actually go look at the study, that's for Black men that are over 50 that are married. And we're going to talk about that. This narrative that most Black men are in the middle class, if you actually go read the study, because we read the studies in the Stock Market Sharks group, we do study, is Black men who are over 50 who are married. There's also a lot of other characteristics in that. They've been in the military, things of that nature. There's a lot of characteristics that added to this Black man being over 50, being in quote unquote in the middle class at age 50. That's not for 25, 30-year-old Black men that are single. It's not for 35-year-old Black men that are single that got children on child support. That's for 50-year-old Black men that are married, right, who are over 50 or 50 or over. That's who's in that middle class group. It's not for these dudes on YouTube who are flying off to Colombia, right, to go try to find a Colombian girl to trick off of, and they're talking about something, I'm in the middle class. That's the problem. So because we won't deal with reality, because so much about Black life is so hard for us, we look to escape it. We deal with this escapism, and then everybody else is getting positioned in this world, and we playing metaverse without a metaverse. And that's something that we really want to start dealing with, right? We playing metaverse, and there's no meta. We don't have a metaverse to play in, but we still playing metaverse, because this is a big part of Black life in America, is this metaverse stuff with no metaverse. That's why I know when they roll this thing out, we're going to be the biggest consumers of it. It's going to be the new crack cocaine, because we just want to get out of our life so bad, because it's been so hard for us this whole time dealing with the reality of our situation. But we can't move forward until we figure out where we at to move forward. Same thing if you want to do health and fitness. You got to know how much you weigh. You got to know your body fat percentage. You got to know what kind of food you put in your diet. Why? Because we got to figure out how to baseline our situation to move forward, right? You can't improve your health and fitness if you don't know what you're doing day to day, because you could be working out but eating the wrong food and undermining your workout. You don't work out and then go out at night and drink. Why? You undermining your workout. So how much alcohol are you taking in every day? How much alcohol are you taking in weekly? Because alcohol will undermine your workout, especially if you're a man, because alcohol lowers your testosterone level. So you got to know these things, right? So we're going to get into the data, right? So that's the first question. Why has this particular six figures become this line in the sand for financial success? We're going to talk about how many people are not in this particular position. So let's get into the data. We're going to get up on out of here because you know what I got to get into Saturday afternoon. So here is selecting U.S. individual income percentiles for 2022, 2021, right? It doesn't matter what year we look at. Make sure that everybody can see it. Okay, so everybody can see it. Let me get rid of this real quick. What are we seeing? Median income 2021 is around 46,000. 2022 around 46,000, right? This is individual income. The 75% percentile, which means what? 75% of people are going to fall under this number. 25% are going to fall over it. That's around 80,000 to 79,000 from year to year. We go to the 90% percentile, around 132 people. I'm sorry, 132 to 135. That means 90% of people are going to fall under that particular number because we know that the median is around 46 to 46. So let's just look at the 80,000, right? 25% of the population is going to, only 25% makes more than that. And 75% are going to fall under that particular number. Why do we have this narrative that we got all these people making this type of money? And that if somebody's not making this type of money, they're not on your level. When you yourself don't make that kind of money. Because if you made that kind of money, right, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. Katrina, I think the data source is, it says CPI adjusted SEC data. I don't know what this IPUM CPS mean, right? So this is a CPI adjusted ASEC data. But what I'll do is I'll link this in the chat, or I'll link this in the description so you can get access to this data. But we're getting ready to go into the BLS. So that's the question, is how come so many people have bought into this narrative that if you're not making this amount of money, you're not on my level. I will only deal with somebody that's making this amount of money when they themselves don't make that amount of money. Now, if you believe in this traditional patriarchal structure where the woman's supposed to make less than the man, that's cool. But you got to take what comes with that. What comes with that is you being married to somebody that they're going to work this person. And I think a lot of people, because they've never been around somebody that makes $100,000 or more, they don't know that when you work for somebody and they pay you a certain amount of money, they're going to work you. You're not going to be home every weekend, right? You're not going to be home every day at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Because especially if you're on salary, they're really going to work you because they're not going to, they're not paying you by the hour. They're paying you by productivity. So when you're in management and your salary, if there's something that need to be done, you got to sit in on that office and keep doing it till it get done. You got to work holidays. We got holidays coming up. There are going to be people working this holiday. Why? Because that's what they got to do to keep that money coming in. They don't get Thanksgiving off. They might work a half day on Thanksgiving and then have to go back to work, right? That's what people don't understand. And it's because they've never really been around people that make that kind of money because it's such a small amount of the population. Because I don't understand if I'm making 75, 80 grand a year, somebody looking down on me when we know that the median is around $50,000 a year, really is lower than that. That's the median. Then we can break that down city by city, and we're going to get into that. We can break that down state by state. We're going to get into that also because, like I said, the income in your area is a lot of times based on what city you live in because other cities don't need you to make a lot of money to stay in those cities. If you're living in Jackson, Mississippi, you don't need to make the kind of money that you need to make if you live in New York City. So why are you in Jackson, Mississippi holding somebody to $100,000 a year standard? You don't need to make that kind of money to live nowhere in Mississippi or Alabama or, certain parts of North Carolina or a lot of these Midwestern states. How much money you need to live well in Iowa? Right? You pulling back $60,000 a year in Iowa. You should be balling if you know how to manage your bread. It's not a high cost of living environment. this is what I want people to really understand. You're being fed a distortion to make you feel better about your situation, but you never taken your situation into account, and you don't understand what's going on around you. So now we're going to get into this BLS data, right? So here's the BLS data, labor force statistics. We're going to go ahead and pull it up. So we got Black African American, 25 years or over. We got median weekly earnings. We've done this multiple times. We're going to do it again. We're going to retrieve the data, right? So here's Black men, quarter 3, 2022. We got 975 weekly. Black women, right? Quarter 3, 2022. We got 860. Okay. You go ahead and you get your calculator and you tally that up and you tell me where you're going to get 6 figures from. Right? You tally that up and you tell me where you're going to get 6 figures from. Why are we telling this a lot of people? I know why some people are doing it, because that's how they do their entertainment career, right? That's how they, push their entertainment career down the road. But why are we telling this a lot of people, instead of telling them you really need to take into account how much money you're making, figure out how to upskill yourself, how to put yourself in a better position, instead of me continuing to feed you this lie that you're part of this special group and you're doing well because you're the most educated, the highest income earners, and you're opening the most businesses, and none of the data supporting that. That's just hyperbole that people saying on the internet to build their little internet platform. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is from Statista. They pull a lot of census data. Percentage distribution of household income in the United States 2021. We're going to see the same thing. Most of the income falls between 50 to 74,000 from a household standpoint, and 100,000 to 149, right? Then you got everything under that. 8.3, 150 to 199, which is 200,000 household. 11.6, $200,000 and over. Okay. Where are all these households where people are making $1 million a year household? They really don't exist. And household doesn't mean 2 people married. It does mean that you could be a person living with children by yourself. But we do understand, because we can pull the data, that single Black women with children are some of the poorest people inside the United States from an income and from a wealth standpoint. So being a Black woman with children is not helping them out from an income standpoint, even though, so they don't understand how to actually break people down by segmented groups. We just make these statements because it makes us feel good. Like, my melanin is worth a certain amount of money if they kill me and they extract my melanin. The problem is that it's not worth that kind of money with you alive, so it don't matter unless you're getting ready to kill yourself and try to sell your melanin. So to try to get our confidence up, we believe in a lot of these falsehoods that don't really help us in real time, because like I said, we're doing the metaverse with no metaverse, right? We're doing the metaverse with no metaverse. So to keep the metaverse thing going, we got to believe these falsehoods about ourselves, okay? That's what I want to really get you to understand. So next question. How do you get around people that make 6 figures so you can improve your income? See, this is what nobody talks about. How do you get around people that make 6 figures so you can improve your income? If you want to improve your income, how do you get around those circles? I'm going to do another video a little later on because I got to pull the data. It's going to take me a lot of time. I've been able to pull zip code data and income and race by zip code, right? Because I'm going to show you that people aren't living in certain zip codes because of this racial loyalty. They're living in certain zip codes because that's the only place they can afford to live. And I live in a city that's a great example of that. How do you get around people that make 6 figures so you can improve your income? Because most time we show with this area out of Alexandria, a lot of times the money you make is based on your network. It often is, especially if you are a working person, what means you work for somebody, right? Most people hang around people that make approximately the same amount of money that they make based on an up or down standard deviation. You rarely find somebody that's making $1 million a year hanging around somebody that's making $40,000 a year, unless they're an entertainer. Most professional people hang around people that have similar income based on their profession. Why? Because they're members of the same network, because they can afford to be in the same environments of each other. So if you want to improve your income, how do you get around people that make 6 figures so you can improve your income? I'm talking about working people. I'm not talking about entrepreneurs yet, because most people going to make their 6 figures working for somebody else. That's how they going to make it. Have you ever asked yourself that question? Because we know most of y'all don't make that money. Then if you know you don't make that money, how are you going to make that money? And then it becomes the issue with this right here, right? Can you afford to be in six-figure environments? So let's look at this real quick, right? Here's another one from Investopedia. They pulled this from the Census Bureau. Median income by state, right? Georgia, median income around 61,000. Florida around 59. Mississippi around 51. Texas 64. Cali's 80, right? Here's New Jersey 85. Was it Delaware? Where's New York City at? Virginia. That's New York 72, right? How do you put yourself in environments where you can make more money? Because one thing, I used to watch this guy's show, right? And the women would come on the show and say, I want to be around six-figure. I want to date a six-figure earner. His question was, do you live in a city that produces six-figure earners? You had two women from Cleveland, Ohio, right? From Cleveland, Ohio. You can go look up the average income or the median income in Cleveland, Ohio is nowhere near six figures. But they've been made to believe that, well, nobody's worth dating if they don't make six figures. But you live in a city where most people don't even make six figures. You don't live in a high income city. Why don't you? Because you couldn't afford to live there, right? Many of these women couldn't afford to live in Alexandria, Virginia. They couldn't afford to live in certain suburbs of Maryland. They couldn't afford it. Many people that live in the Atlanta metro, they can't afford to live in Sandy Springs, right? They can't afford to live in Sandy Springs. It's too expensive for them. They can't afford to live in Dunwoody. A lot of them not going to be able to afford to live in Cobb County in a few years because they're raising this income level here, right? Unless you go to the west side, and we'll talk about that later. So can you afford to be in six-figure environments? There's going to be networking conferences where they say, hey, you know what? To go to this networking conference, it may be $1,000. Can you afford it? Right? This ain't like getting you a plane ticket on Frontier and getting you an Airbnb in Mexico. You got to pay a G code, right? You got to pay a G code for the people that don't know the slang. That's $1,000. You got to pay a G code just to get into the conference. Then we're having a conference in a city where it's expensive to get hotel lodging, right? Then you got to fly in. So your whole round trip situation might be around $3,500. Can you afford that? Can you afford to be in six-figure environments? Because you want to be around people that make six figures. Well, can you afford to be around them? And these are the kind of questions nobody's talking about because it don't cost hardly any money to be on YouTube. You pay your little $100 a month internet subscription, and you on YouTube, and some chick is lying to you about how to be around six-figure earners. And you watching the YouTube entertainment and thinking you getting some game around six-figure earners. So let me explain something to you. And I might do a video about this one day. Why don't you join the Delta Sky Club? Do you fly like that though? First, do you fly? Because y'all fly Frontier and Spirit, right? You know, quiet as kept. Y'all fly Frontier and Spirit. Y'all don't fly Delta like that because Delta's more expensive. But why don't you join the Delta Sky Club? And then you can go to Hartsfield or go to Logan or go to LAX when you got a flight and you in an environment where people what? They have the money to spend to be a member of the Sky Club. So they got y'all segregated economically from everybody else. You're not in the regular part of the airport. You with people that got that kind of bread, right? Why don't y'all fly out of private airports? There's a private airport pretty much in every city. Why don't y'all fly out of the private airport? So then when you go to the private airport, you're around people that can afford to fly private. But y'all traveling and passporting it up on Spirit and Frontier. But y'all don't want nobody to know that, right? They just offered that $600. I think Frontier said they're going to fly you all year for $600. Y'all better jump on that before that price go up. You feel me? You're not paying to be around. So these people know we can economically segregate people from around us by making the way you got to pay money to get in the door to even be around our environment. Because we know that y'all just going to lie on YouTube because it's free to be on YouTube except for how much you pay. And it's really free if you're on your phone because you can be anywhere and get on YouTube and lie about, well, here's how you be around six-figure men. Well, you know how you get around six-figure men? You pay your way to be around them. And then you'll be around six-figure men. Go to the private airport, right? Go to the private airport. And you'll be around six-figure people all the time. You can buy remnant inventory for private planes. You can buy a subscription plan to fly private. but are you flying enough to justify you being in that subscription plan? But then now you got a reason to be at the private airport. You can join the golf club anytime you want to, but you got to pay to be a member of the golf club. There's a lot of ways to be around people that are higher income weight, but you got to pay your way around them. It's not about watching YouTube videos. So can you afford to be around six-figure environments? Well, I'm going to show you using economic data that most people are around and are living in environments that they can afford. Nobody's living in College Park because they want to be around black people so bad and they have this racial loyalty, but they make enough money to live in Sandy Springs. That's false. That's where they can afford to live. And I can show you breakdown percentage of women, percentage of men, ethnic percentage. The black women that are living in College Park, you know why they live in there? Because that's what they can afford. The black men that are living in East Point, you know why they living down there? Because that's what they can afford. They can't afford to live nowhere else. Or if they can afford to live somewhere else, it's going to be a lateral move economically. It's not going to be a vertical move economically. So can you afford to be in six-figure environments? And these are the questions people are not asking themselves, right? Next question. Do you have the social or soft skills to be in six-figure environments, especially corporate versus entrepreneur? So let me give an example. I used to get my t-shirts printed at this place in Orlando, right? This guy used to print my sweaters for me. And the account rep he had working for him was this little white girl, but she had tattoos all up and down her arms. You know why they didn't matter? Because she wasn't working in a corporate environment, right? So she had tattoos all up. She was a heck of an account rep. She stayed on her job. Like when I went to go get my stuff done with her, it was seamless. That woman was really, really good at her job. Answer her emails, turn around real quick. But she was working in more of an entrepreneurial type space. We're in the streetwear lines. We're doing surf lines. So she worked as, I got tattoos all up and down my arm. I have like a rock and roll kind of aesthetic. It worked in that environment. That wouldn't work in a corporate environment, right? Many of you, from a soft skill standpoint, I can tell by how y'all communicate and how y'all talk to people. I can tell by the stuff that comes out of your mouth. You don't have the social or the soft skills to be in six-figure or greater environments. You don't. You would embarrass yourself. But you're saying you want this kind of person, but they can't take you into those environments. I know some really attractive women that have tattoos. I know some really attractive women that have different hair colors. The problem is you can't take those women to corporate six-figure environments. Some of these dudes on here, you couldn't take them to corporate six-figure environments. Why? They don't know how to communicate to people properly. They would lose their cool and, take something the wrong way and make the person that brought them and they self look bad. So you can't be in those environments. But you're believing that I want to make this kind of money. The majority of opportunities to make six figures are going to come from the corporate side, right? Making six figures in business is harder than what you think it is because you got to actually have a business that makes sense. Most of those opportunities are going to come from the corporate side, right? Do you have the ability, right, excluding New York, Southern California, certain parts of Texas, where that's not a lot of money, but do you have the ability to live in, a certain part of Kansas and for those people to pay you six figures because you know how to conduct yourself in those environments? This is what nobody don't talk about. You can't take entertainers as the standard of how to make a lot of money. They're entertainers. People let them get away with stuff they won't let somebody else get away with, right? You can have tattoos all over your face and make $1 million as an entertainer. You can be Kanye West and marry a woman who made her name doing pornography. And because you're an entertainer, they'll let that go. You try that in other environments, I'm telling you, they're not going to let that go. Don't nobody want to hear that, but I'm just telling you, they're not going to let that go because they don't want that woman around their woman. That's a fact. Now, they don't know it is one thing, but they don't now. So her celebrity opens doors for her. But I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't. See, y'all take entertainers as the template of how everybody's supposed to conduct themselves. No other group does that. And so that's what people got to understand is that, do you have the social or soft skills to be in six-figure environments? Many of you do not. And you don't realize that because nobody around you makes that kind of money. So you don't even understand how to have those kind of conversations or how to network around those kind of people. You just don't understand how to do it. And you think because entertainers are your format to what income success looks like, well, you think, well, I just act like the entertainer, that's going to be all right. Those entertainers will be given an allowance because they're entertainers. The majority of rich people in any city are not entertainers. I lived in Houston. The richest people in Houston don't entertain. I live in Atlanta Metro right now. The richest people in Atlanta Metro don't do any entertaining. So they can't be the example of what that looks like. But we don't know that because, like I said, we lack exposure to people in these particular areas. And nobody wants to have that conversation. It don't mean that you got to be this, I would call stuck up type person. But many of you don't have the social skills or the soft skills to be in these type of environments. You wouldn't even understand how to have a conversation. And I'm talking about from the corporate side. The entrepreneurship side is different because you can make a lot of money in this world if you're a business person, and you can look all kind of different ways, and nobody really cares as long as you're bringing the money in. It's when you go work for somebody else is when you got to conduct yourself a certain way. And we see that even with Kyrie Irving. You can't work for them people and do what you want to do. I don't know why people think you can. You work for somebody. You got to do what they tell you to do. These people paying you millions of dollars to work for them. You got to do what they tell you to do. That's how the game go. But see, y'all think like entertainers, I could just do. You can't do what you want to do. So then the question is, why do you think you need to get to 6 figures by yourself? And so this is what I want people to understand. If you're making 50 and somebody else is making 50, why can't y'all get above 6 figures as a group? Right? Why do you need to try to get by yourself? Why we can't get to 6 figures household? Why do you need to get there individually? This is what we don't understand. We bought into this attitude is I got to get to 6 figures all by myself as an individual person. Why don't y'all get there why don't you get there as a family? Well, I don't believe in family. That's why. Right? And that's what I want people to understand. Many of you have been told that, well, you got to try to marry into 6 figures. Well, why don't you help somebody else get to 6 figures? Well, I don't want to build somebody up. And I'm going to do another video about this. If I'm on a winning team and you're getting ready to join the winning team, but you don't add nothing to the winning team, why do we need you? We're already winning. See, these are these internet lies they tell people. So most dudes ain't going to make the mistake that Kanye West made. Most dudes not going to make that mistake. Most women not going to make the mistake that Mary J. Blige made. These are people that are unintelligent in their relationship patterns, right? They're unintelligent. There's no way in the world I'm a multi-millionaire guy and I got access to all the women in the world and I'm going to go pick a woman that made a name for herself doing pornography. I'm not against women that have done porn. I'm not against pornography. I'm not pro-censorship, right? So I don't want people to take it that way. But there's no way in the world, right? I have access to every woman in the world and I'm going to go pick a woman that's made her name doing pornography. Many of you want to join winning teams and you don't know how to keep the team winning. You've been lied to by these internet people that, well, you just got to be this and winners are going to pick you up and let you, but you don't help them keep winning. That's not going to work that way. So because you don't want to help somebody win, you think, well, the person got to already be winning for me to have any interest in them. My question is, if I already got 3 championships, why need you? I already got 3 chips. How do you help me get chip 4, 5, and 6? And you're not ready to have that conversation, right? So you're trying to get there by yourself because you don't know how to help somebody else get there. That's the game, right? You got to know, how do you help somebody else get there? When Tom Brady went to the Bucs, what did he start trying to do? How can I build this offense so I can get back to where I know I'm supposed to be? So he got Fournette. We already have Mike Evans, right? He got Gronk to come out of retirement to play ball with him, right? We got the defense already set. We just need somebody to run the offense. So Brady brought in people that can do what? Can help me. He didn't bring in people that say, oh, man, I just want to play with Tom Brady, but I can't help them, but I just want to play. And if it's not Tom Brady, I don't want to play with him. It don't work that way. Why would Tom Brady deal with you and you can't help him get the way he's trying to go? He all ready to go. What he needs you for? So this is what we don't get people to understand. It's easy to get there as a team, but because I don't want to help nobody get there, And so then I think I need to get there all by myself, because if I help somebody get there and it don't work out, or you built that person for nothing. Fournette don't have no Super Bowl if he don't come to the Bucs. He don't get a Super Bowl unless he comes to the Bucs, because the only way he got a Super Bowl is by helping the Bucs win. Right? That's how it worked. You feel me? This is what people don't understand. So you thinking I need to get to six figures all by myself first. That's the hardest way to get to six figures. You can get to six figures a lot easier if you got people working with you. Right? Because two people making 60 is 120. Now y'all at six figures. There's another video from that same website where the woman's making 180. She works for government. Her husband making 120. He worked for government. But you know what? Based on the people on the internet, she settled. Because she make 180, but he make 120. So based on the people on the internet, she settled, because reality, her husband should make way more money. So she need to marry somebody making $300,000. Where's she going to find that person at? She's not talking about less than 1% of the population of the country. Where's she going to find a person making 300 grand? Because she make 180. So she's settling for dates. She's building a man because she got a person. Together, they making almost $300,000 a year. They married, got a kids. They're going to get a whole bunch of tax credits. So they can build real wealth based on their income. If they work to do that, they just don't blow their money up as consumers. So a lot of y'all, like I said, the way that y'all been programmed, everything about you speaks to, I don't know how to build wealth. I don't know how to work with people as a group to build wealth. Right? So, and I only celebrate somebody doing it all by themselves, where everybody else is doing it as a group. So you stepping on the field to play the Bucs, and you one person, and the Bucs is running 11 people at you. It don't matter what them people gas you up to believe you is. Man, the Bucs gonna run right over your ass, man. They gonna hit you every which way. They gonna knock you to the ground, and you ain't gonna want to get up. That's how hard they gonna hit you, because you can't beat 11 people with one person. So this is the issue. You're trying to get to six figures by yourself. You're not married. You're not part of a group. You're trying to get there all by yourself. That's the hardest way to get there, but that's the way you've been programmed to believe to get there. Where everybody else is part of a group, right? Like I said, that lady that made 180, she married to a man that made 120. Based on these internet people, she settled. She married down. How? The man makes $120,000 a year, right? He's already in the 75% income percentile. But based on the internet narrative, she should have married somebody that made, $200,000 or greater. Where's she gonna find that person at? So she's getting older, waiting to find this dude that makes 200, because you can't marry nobody that make less money than you. You settling, you building this man. This is why we keep losing in this game, man. We don't know how to work as a team. And I'm gonna repeat myself. I'm gonna do another video. If I'm already winning, and you want to join people that are already winning, your job is to figure out how to help them win more. Your job ain't just to jump on their team and you just ride in the bandwagon. We don't need that. We don't need that. We need you to help us try to figure out how to win more. If I got 3 rings and I'm Jordan, we add on Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, your job is to help me get my 4th, 5th, and 6th ring. Your job ain't just to hang out and say, hey, man, I'm on the team with Michael Jordan. I don't need that. I'm trying to get 4, 5, 6. Can you help me do that? Yes or no? That's how high performers think, right? They don't need new people to hang out with them. They already got, Tom Brady was a GOAT before he came to the Bucs. So everything is about winning. He don't need a fan club. He the GOAT before he came to the Bucs. He bred it up before he come to the Bucs. Everything's about winning. I don't need a fan club. And this is what I try to tell you. I can tell a lot of y'all ain't been around high-performing people. You haven't been around really motivated people. You ain't been around people that's going to do 60 hours a week. You don't understand what that's like. So you live in this metaverse fantasy world around income, right? Jobs look for people that are going to work very hard so they can pay those people a lot of money because they work very hard to make that job successful. You attach yourself to those kind of people. You know what that means? You're around a person that works a lot. Now you get the benefit of the income, but the only reason the job likes them is because what? They work a lot. The job not going to pay nobody $100,000 and want to work 25 hours a week. You got some little special type of job. I know a woman from my neighborhood. She's a lead anesthesiologist for a hospital. She makes over $300,000 a year. She literally lives at that hospital. She's their lead. She's in a leadership position. She literally lives at that hospital. Her husband makes a lot of money. And what he does, he literally lives at his job. They got a lot of money. They got a real good life. They're going to retire real well. They work a lot. I knew somebody down in Miramar. They was working for customs, making big paper. Making big paper, working for the customs department, government job, making big paper. They worked a whole lot too, working for customs. Making real good money though, but they worked a lot. Both the husband and the wife worked for customs. Making real good money. They worked a lot. Both put in north of 50 hours a week. Right? I don't think y'all understand this type of stuff. So y'all believe these narratives around income. You can go get the money. The money's out there for you to go get. America has a massive amount of liquidity. But you got to know what comes with it. And it's very difficult to get that money by yourself. It's way easier if you get with somebody else and y'all put a plan together on how y'all going to get the money. Does it mean that it's going to work all the time? No. Relationships break up all the time. But you got a way better chance of working with somebody else to get there than trying to get there all by yourself. And then thinking that you're going to jump on somebody else's team that's already there and you can't figure out what you add into this situation. You just want to be on the team because we already winning. Life don't really work that way. We're going to read these comments. Maybe we're going to get up on out of here because we have 41 minutes. Let's start from the top. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Doom, doom, doom. What's going on, favorite notary chick? Big up to Houston. I was just out there. Yeah, Katrina, you know, a lot of people in the DC metro area work for the government. So if you look at that particular website, their YouTube channel, a lot of the people they interview got government jobs. A lot of people. You know, one of the things that built Black wealth, especially in that Northeast area, was government. Because for a long time, Black people couldn't get jobs in government. So one of the things that really built Black wealth was government. Same thing out here in the Atlanta metro area. One of the things that created a lot of economic stability for a lot of Black people here is the fact that they could get government jobs. And that's something that we discount. And we don't understand how that helped Black people become upwardly mobile. Because it's stable work. The money's going to keep coming in. And then you got a lot of benefits attached to that. And to me, it was very unfortunate that we didn't fight to make sure that Black people, but especially Black men, continue to get access to those government jobs. Because once they got taken from us, to me, it was a negative impact to our wealth. But yeah, a lot of those people in that area got government jobs. Katrina says, I keep telling people the network loan ranges don't get paid. Well, definitely. You got to network. You got to know people. And you got to know the right people, but you got to know people. You know, you got to know people. That's the game. Uber, I appreciate the $20, man. So Mailman Fresh says, I make over 100K. They work us a lot. I believe you. I wouldn't pay somebody 100K if I wouldn't go work them a lot because I'm paying you $100,000. I had a guy that he built media buying teams. He told me if you pay somebody to work for you, they need to be making you 3 times what you're paying them. So Mailman Fresh, if I'm paying you $100,000 to work for me, you need to be making me $300,000 minimum or greater for me to justify paying you $100,000 a year. And so I don't think people realize that that's how much people are going to work. When somebody's paying you that kind of money, they're going to work you. They're not going to just let you hang out making that kind of money unless you the boss's son or something. David Lee, man, appreciate the $4, the $4.99. Yes, I think that data source is ASEC. Like I said, I put the link in there. Yeah, definitely. So this is why, Katrina, I can't do this thing where, Black women make more than Black men and, they're settling that. There's no data to support it. So this is the problem, is that we built out this narrative around a falsehood and then people are trying to live it out in their life and it's not true. And it's not to down nobody. It's to understand that, one, there's not that much of a difference, but there's not this disparity where we got all these Black women making all this money. Black women that make over $100,000 a year is literally less than 25% of Black women total that make over $100,000 a year in the whole United States. I can pull the data. But on the internet, they're all making over $100,000. To let them tell it, because that's the only way you can market to them. We've created this distortion field where the only way we can market to a Black audience is to get them to believe a lot of falsehoods about their life. So they never deal with their real life. Yeah, those sky clubs are nice. They real nice. They real nice. You said for Southwest for domestic. I feel you. Southwest is not a bad airline. I like how Southwest controls their ticket vendor though. So God bless says Delta chickens are cheaper than Spirit. I guess it depends on what market you're in. In this market I'm at, I live close to the Delta hub. They're definitely not cheaper than Spirit. But I guess it depends on what market you're in. So it's all good. Yeah, join your local chamber. So God bless. Let me tell you something. So I used to be a member of the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. There was 2 black women in that chamber when I was a member. 2 black women. Both of them were probably over 40 years old. One was not even a native-born black woman. She was an attorney, but she was from Africa. So the chamber probably had close to, let's say, total maybe 300 to 400 people if everybody showed up at the same event. 2 black women. A lot of it have to do with cost, and 2, they may not even know about it, right? But it wasn't inexpensive, and they may not know about it. 2 black women in the whole chamber. But these are the people, it was the Cobb County Chamber of Commerce that brought the Braves Stadium to Cobb County. They worked to get that stadium out here, right? It was through the chamber that I got invited to the Georgia Club. Now, at that time, I couldn't afford to be a member of it. But it was through the chamber, my networks at the chamber, I got invited to the Georgia Club. And it was also being a member of that chamber when I realized how locked up I was at doing business with certain people. This is something that Kanye talked about, where you just can be locked out of stuff just because that's how it's been built. You got to build out your own strength for your own power. Now, everybody, it works different for everybody. But that's something I realized. But it was 2 black women in that chamber, right? But that's where all the 6-figure men are at. 2 black women in that chamber. Both of them was over 40. Didn't see no 25, 30-year-old black women in that chamber, at least not when I was there, right? But now YouTube is something totally different. But I'm talking about real world. It don't look like that. So that's why I don't go for this YouTube stuff, because I know they just be trying to create content. Gone Post, appreciate the $5. Terrence, I appreciate the $4.99. Cherie says, I talked about that woman that's 30-inch nails and 15-inch eyelashes can't take her to corporate events. Most definitely. And I'm not down in the women that got the 30-inch nails and the 15-inch eyelashes, but it's not appropriate for every situation. So Sha'Carri Richardson can wear the long nails and the blonde lace fronts. That worked for what she do. She runs down the track. But that doesn't really work in the corporate spaces. It works in some of the MLMs, but it doesn't really work when you're working for like IBM or you're trying to move up at Coca-Cola. And I'm not saying that you can't be yourself, but what I'm saying is that a lot of the extremism in fashion, it don't really work because it's more of a conservative environment. And it is what it is. And so a lot of these women don't realize is that you're placing this demand on this man to make this amount of money, but he can't take you to where it's going to, because when you're trying to move up in corporate, what do they want to see out of you? They want to see you be married. That's how the corporate structure works. They don't want no single man around all those women. They want to see that you're married because they know that you're invested in something. See, these are kind of conversations we don't have because why? We don't come from these type of environments where this stuff is important. We've been taught by black people the last 35, 40 years that marriage is not important. But if you try to move up in the corporate space, marriage is very important. If you try to move up in politics, marriage is very important. Do we have exceptions to the rule? Yeah, Charlie Crist has been a lifetime politician in Florida. He's not married, but he's the exception. DeSantis, with his whole family, is the rule, where he can roll his whole family out there as a married man. Wife, kids, everything. That's normally the standard in the professional space. The political space is the standard, even though we know these people a lot like the Clintons got fake relationships. But when it's time to take the pictures, they can put the whole family out there. Right? So these, like I said, a lot of us, the way in which we communicate our values, it speaks to that we haven't been in certain environments because we don't know how ball is played in those environments. So we'll be making $1 million as an entertainer, or we'll be very successful on social media. But people can tell that you haven't been in certain environments because it's not that you turning your back on your traditions. Those are your traditions. Well, I'm just going to do it all by myself and I don't want to get married. And those are the traditions of your family. You're not turning it back on the tradition. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying the people that are expressing this. Those are your traditions. It's just people having children all on top of each other and they just figure it out as they get older. Like that's the tradition of your family, right? So that's what I think a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of people, you can tell what they've been exposed to by how they communicate their values. It's not that they're going against their parents' values. Those are their parents' values. That's just what it is. Appreciate the $10, man. So Miss Noteworth says the dudes on YouTube don't want educated women more money than me. Okay, so I don't care if you make more money than me. Education is subjective. I think education has been this term that education is subjective, right? I don't care if you make more money than me. My question is, how can you help me in what I do and how can I help you? So I'm not really tripping, right? But my question is, if you can't help me do anything I got going on, how much money you make is not relevant. Because let me give you some insight to me. I was taking care of myself at 19 years old. So I never lived off a woman in my life once I got out of my parents' house at 19. So you're talking to a man that has taken care of himself since he was 19 years old. I took care of myself. However I had to do it, I did it, right? So I never needed a woman to shoot me some paper to take care of David. And I know I just talked about myself in third person, but I'm just giving you the reality of the situation. So how much money you make is not relevant to me. What's relevant to me is how can you help me in what I got going on and how can I help you with what you got going on? Your education is not relevant to me if it don't help me because I'm trying to push a line. So if you can't help me push this line, then to me, you can't help me because you can't help me. I'm a line pusher. I'm trying to push a line. So that's what I'm not trying to build a life to where, I got a house in the suburbs and I could go eat at Shoney's on a weekend. And, I watch Netflix on Saturday and Sunday and that's it. That's not my lifestyle. So I think a lot of women don't realize and a lot of men don't realize is they real cookie cutter and they just haven't found an appropriate cookie for them. But I don't care how much education you got if it can't help me with what I got going on. And I spoke to a woman on YouTube that has Harvard educated. And she's like, well, I wish I didn't have my Harvard degree. And I'm like, why did you go to Harvard and get a degree if you don't want to use it to help your partner? This don't make no sense to me. You could have saved a lot of time. But she doesn't see how a Harvard degree can help anybody. Or, and I'm saying based on her persona. But yeah, your education, if it don't help me, what is it doing for me? And if I can't help you, what am I doing for you? But we don't see, in my opinion, we don't see relationships like that. Right? But yeah, if all you want to do is take 30 trips and, go to Cheesecake Factory on the weekend and watch Netflix all weekend, I'm not the guy for you because that's not what I get into. I'm trying to do something else. So I'm trying to curate an environment of people that can help me do that because that's what's important to me. And I think a lot of us have very average ambitions and very average aspirations, but we've been programmed by the internet that we're doing something that's not average. But Netflix don't have all those subscribers and people aren't watching Netflix all day. And I think a lot of people don't want to accept that. But big up to you. I appreciate the comment. So T's got 3 million clients in Kansas. Okay, big up to Kansas. I was watching them play basketball the other night. They got a good team, but they keep a good team though. GC, what's up with it? Help them keep winning this work. Definitely. Definitely. It's work. It's a lot of work. It's not easy to keep people winning. Donna Del Sol, appreciate the $9. Live off one income, invest the other. Yeah, I had a guy tell me that you should better pay for the house with one person's income, so that you're not dependent. So if one person lose their job, y'all don't get behind on mortgage payments. So it was like you should better pay for the house with one person's income, and then y'all just stack the other income and use that for emergency funds, retirement, things of that nature. But it takes 2 incomes to do that. So I got a cousin in Maryland managing nurses on a brain trauma unit, phone in hand, laptop on lap, and says, yeah, people don't know about that. My homegirl, she make a lot of money. They work her a lot. She makes a lot of money. Her husband make a lot of money. They work a lot. And they're going to be caked up when they get done working. But them people working them, they're not going to pay that kind of money, man. They're not going to work you. You got to work. Miss Bellamy, what's up with it? Shara says, Meek, salon owner, hubs, corporate working together towards one goal, models for our kids. Big up to you, Sarah S. and the $10 super chat. Big up. Y'all keep doing y'all thing. That's how you do it. A lot of these women that are selling people, I'm an entrepreneur, they don't tell people that their husband is supporting them while they're doing their entrepreneurship journey. So they selling this entrepreneurship myth to single women that are unmarried, that got no support system, that are unprotected. While they built their entrepreneurship because their husband was working, so he was able to support them until the business got to a certain level. See, they leave that part out because they got to keep the myth going of this black woman doing it all by herself. While she got a husband to support her, but see, she can't tell her audience that. Why? Because they won't be able to relate to that because they're not married. Just like the entertainer selling to you single ladies and she's married, but all her single ladies. And she's selling you women run the world and men are telling her what to do with her music, but women run the world. But she can't furnish her music to certain places if men don't allow her to do it because men own her music. But women run the world. Why? Because that's what my audience want to hear. I'm an entertainer. Just keep feeding it to them. But through her marriage, her children never gonna have to work. Through her marriage, they're gonna build an estate. Them kids never gonna have to work. They're just gonna be kicked back and just live life. But she entertain y'all something different. She ain't no different than a gangster rapper. She a cold entertainer, but she ain't no different than a gangster rapper. They got you thinking they doing this, that, and the third, and it's nothing like that. They getting locked up, going to protective custody. So Greg said I used to do 170K, 6-day 12s, and 14 days. I believe you. I know people, I used to work in healthcare and I wasn't making nowhere near 6 figures. And I used to do 3 12s. I used to do 3 12s in healthcare and I wasn't making nowhere near 6 figures. But there was people in there doing them 3 12s with me that was making 6 figures. We was doing 3 12s. I used to also work on the weekend, 2 doubles, Saturday and Sunday in healthcare. Right? I don't think, like I said, a lot of y'all, I don't think y'all been around people that just really have really worked. I come from people that really work. Both my grandfathers worked 3 jobs. Right? I don't think y'all been around that. So y'all think like this money just comes just cause. Man, you got to work to make this money if you work for somebody. They're not going to just hand you this money just because they like you. You will have that in individual situations, but most of the time you got to work. Diamond says, my husband and me team drive. We make more money together than solo. I couldn't make the same amount of money by myself with the same amount of experience. So big up to you and your husband. Y'all get that money. Diamond Jordan. So Miss Bellamy, $20. Appreciate the $20 super chat. It's crazy to hear what people think is a lot of money in DC. I can't tell you how many government agents I know making 100,000. I feel you. I mean, that's the perception. You know, like I said, when I was coming up, it was $1 million. Now it's 100,000. I say, man, people's expectations have dropped. Irony, what's going on, man? I ain't talking. I seen him in Hartsfield. I tell people, you got a problem with anybody, don't go to Hartsfield because they're going to show up there. No, I didn't join the Georgia Club. Didn't join it. At that time, I couldn't afford it. I mean, I saw you at the airport. I saw you at Hartsfield. You know me. Well, you probably don't remember faces like I do. I don't forget faces. Yeah, I saw you at Hartsfield years ago. So you don't slip up like that, man. Meet somebody in person and don't remember how they look. That's a bad look for you, big dog. So we're going to get up on out of here. So Donna Del Sol says, work all of August every day, 12-hour shifts, 6 to 8 hours a week, no time to grab a partner. I feel you. You know, like I said, I used to work 3 12s in healthcare. I also worked 2 16s in healthcare. I worked all day Saturday and I worked all day Sunday. And then I had the week off, but I was dead tired all week. And then on Saturday, it started all over again. So I worked from like the first shift to the second shift, and then didn't even get no time off in between the next shift, and turned right around and worked to like 11:30. And I did that Saturday and Sunday. I had Monday through Friday off, but you were so tired from doing that, you didn't even feel refreshed till like Wednesday. Then you started all over again. Now, some of the people I was working with, they was making a lot of money, but we just worked like that, you know, and I did that to get my foot in the door at this hospital. And then once a different position opened up, I transferred. But that's how I had to get in. I had to take whatever position they could give me. And that was the only opening that they had at that time. But there was people that did that worked. I know people that work third shift like all the time. Like I would never want to work a third shift. You know what I'm saying? But that's what some people got to do to make their money. So I just think we take out the work piece. And we just think, well, the money just comes because it just comes. When you work for somebody, they're going to want you bring back a multiple of what they're paying you for you to work if you're lucky. Sometimes they're paying you way, way less than what, you know, it's not even close. But if you know, once you start getting to, my opinion, once you start getting to around 100,000 and a little higher in most corporate settings, they're going to work you. If you work in sales, you have to work to drive the sale. There are no hours. And I don't think people realize that. So I know a lot of really successful salespeople, they work a lot, you know, because they are getting judged on sales. They're not getting judged on how many hours they work. So whatever they got to do to drive those sales, that's what they have to do. So you could be a sales guy making $250,000 a year, but you work 60 hours a week. And I don't think people realize that. They just think, well, the money just comes in just because it comes in. I don't think people get that shit. But like I said, they haven't been exposed to that type of stuff. You know, so they just think, well, it just comes in just because it comes in. No, I don't. The people going to work you. This is America. America's about working people. It ain't about giving away no money. That's not America. So we're going to get up on out of here. Appreciate everybody for coming through. David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. Y'all be safe out here during this holiday. Make sure you have your head on straight. Don't be like Iron Man and see people that you don't realize, even though you met them in person, because you don't never know what's going to happen. You don't know what kind of situation they're going to try to pull during this holiday. So y'all make sure you got your head on straight. Make sure you got your eyes up and you're looking around to see what's going on, right? Talk to y'all later.